can begin.
In today's world, explosives are used in many forms, from everyday things such as TV shows and movies to wars many miles away. From the earliest form originating in China, dating to the 13th century, to the top of the line in today's world, explosives have gotten stronger and stronger with each evolution they have gone through. Gunpowder has been the basis for weapons and explosives for hundreds of years. Ironically, it was a quest for immortality that led to the invention of the deadliest weapon before the arrival of the atomic bomb. A Chinese scientist around 850 AD in this quest mixed charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur together. The Chinese were the only ones. There were a few eyewitnesses to this creation, and many said that smoke and flames resulted, so that the scientist's hands and face were burnt, and even the whole house where they were experimenting burned down. The Chinese were the only ones who made this magical powder for hundreds of years, and then it was a secret sold down the Silk Road. Before this exchange of technology, the Chinese made many weapons with it, such as flaming arrows and rudimentary grenades, which they used on their enemies, the Mongols. As the technology spread to Europe, they developed weapons. Many of these weapons were crude cannons and personal firearms, and with the invention of the handheld cannon, they developed a new form of soldier called infantry. With these, many of Europe's forts and castles became obsolete because they would require large fields to hold battles in because of how far the weapons can shoot. Still today, the main weapons used in the military are those type, except they're much more advanced and or smaller. And we use them in our civilian lives also, with police enforcement and hunting. With all these advancements in gunpowder, the human race had to go and develop more and more destructive weapons. Now it's time for a gunpowder explosion. Fun, right? With the devastating effect that gunpowder had on the world, we had to commercialize it. Many commercial explosives are mainly used for mining, construction, and demolition projects. Some of these explosives used in this field are TNT and dynamite. Now, most people would assume that they're both the same thing, but they're not exactly the same. Dynamite is mainly used for civilian use in mines and construction sites, stated before, but TNT was a military product, and they used it in mines and grenades for up until World War II, where it decreased rapidly. But both are secondary explosives, which means they are not for civilian use, but for the corporations and military. Now, even though these are much more deadlier than gunpowder, these do not even come to the top of the line. Now, time for some fun, more blowing up stuff. Now in this video, it's going to be blowing up rocks for clearing away dirt and rock for a mining operation. As you can see, it's much more powerful than a powder. All the chunks and rocks flying. Here's another picture of it. The The next ones I'm going to share with you are closer to the top of the line than the past three. We all have heard of C4 in movies, but in real life it's much more deadly. They don't show the accurate portrayal of it. C4 is a very versatile explosive. It can be used in underwater missions and cutting and precision explosions. Being as versatile as it is, the only military to use it is the United States. It is also only produced in the United States, and its counterpart is a European explosive called Simtats. Simtats is basically the grandfather of C4 and can do everything C4 does, but is available to civilians. There are many more explosives more powerful than these that I chose, but I wanted to share the most common that people may have heard of. Now, for a C4 explosion. Now, this video was taken in Afghanistan, where they use a lot of it for military purposes. You do. Much more powerful. And it gets dispersed a lot more and stuff. With as many explosives as there are in the world today, we all have to remember they all came from one powder. Even though they have increased in the destructive force and damage they can cause, explosives are and will always be a part of our world. From the creation of gunpowder to nuclear weapons, we have seen the evolution of explosives so far.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Bobby. And